voted to repeal Obamacare more than 50 times when they didn't have a president in the White House who would ever sign it. Now that they have a president in the White House who will sign it, they can't get the one thing they've been screaming about for 7 years done. Detractors have suggested this is an obvious indication that it's much easier to be the no vote than it is to actually govern. Is anybody coming to terms with that today?
Well, that was some of the thought always with the conservatives, the Freedom Caucus, that they were so ingrained in voting no and being opposed to everything, being opposed to the leadership, being opposed to John Boehner, being opposed to President Obama. Well, they don't have that foil anymore, and so that's the problem. They're not used to getting to yes. You know, it's kind of like trying to sell somebody a car. If they don't want to buy the car, they're not going to buy it. And that's where they ran into the trouble with this group at the end of the day. So, again, what does this mean for the rest of the agenda going forward? This is a major, major body blow. It does show that there is political kryptonite out there, and that, you know, easy to vote to repeal and replace or have all these 50, 60 repeal votes over the years when you weren't firing with live ammo. They were firing with live ammo today, and it blew up on them.
Chad Pergram, stay with us. Bret Baier, for this president who stakes so much of his political capital on winning, 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 who said you'll be tired of doing so much winning. Today he has a defeat, and I wonder how he'll react.
I think that'll be interesting to see, Shep. Fascinating, really. I think the New York Times article today was laying the groundwork, citing 4 sources inside the White House, that the president had regrets. That's something you don't often hear from President Trump, regrets or doubts about going with health care first, and even a source saying that Vice President Pence had warned the president not to get too close to Paul Ryan's bill, is how it was phrased in that piece. I don't think that's far from the truth as they lay the groundwork for what happens after this. Now, one thing to point out that Chad mentioned, the body blow here and the agenda. Next up is tax reform, and they were looking at this, Shep, like a train where you had the first car was health care, then tax reform, and then infrastructure. Well, the health care car was going to take some of the taxes away, also provide some deficit reduction, originally more than $300 billion, and that enabled the second car to be lower, the tax rates that they were going to get for tax reform. Now, if they want to keep the numbers as they envision them for tax reform, as Republicans have laid out, they're going to have to find another funding mechanism that makes it deficit neutral. It is in the weeds, but it is a major problem as far as the structuring of the next big item, which is tax reform, if they go to that right away.
Bret Baier live in Washington. The long and short of all of this is this. The Republican plan to repeal and replace Obamacare is dead on arrival in the United States House of Representatives. Republicans do not have the votes to pass it alone. Democrats are lock solid against it. And the new bill, the American Health Care Act, will not see